There are events in history that refuse to behave. They were observed, documented, measured, and yet they still don't make sense. A signal from deep space that has never repeated. A city that vanished almost overnight. An atmospheric explosion stronger than a nuclear bomb, with no crater. A year when the sun seemed to disappear. And a sound heard across an entire continent. These are not legends. They are historical phenomena. And science still doesn't fully understand them. History is full of events we can explain. Battles, inventions, political collapses. But every so often, something happens that doesn't fit. An anomaly in the sky. A natural event that defies models. A disappearance with no clear cause. These aren't myths or folklore. They were witnessed, recorded, and studied. And yet, even with modern science, we still don't have complete answers. Tonight, we explore 5 historical phenomena that continue to baffle scientists. Not because we lack intelligence, but because nature and history are sometimes stranger than we expect. Phenomenon 1. The Tunguska explosion. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, the sky above Siberia exploded. Witnesses hundreds of miles away described a fireball streaking across the horizon, brighter than the sun. Moments later, an enormous blast flattened more than 80 million trees across 800 square miles of remote forest near the Tunguska River. The shockwave shattered windows nearly 400 miles away. Seismic stations across Europe recorded the tremor. The explosion released an estimated 10 to 15 megatons of energy. That's roughly 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. And yet, there was no crater. No obvious impact site. No fragments of a large meteor. Just trees laid flat in a radial pattern, like matchsticks knocked down by an invisible hand. For years, the world barely noticed. The event occurred in one of the most isolated regions on Earth. Russia at the time was unstable, and scientific expeditions were delayed. It wasn't until 1927, nearly 2 decades later, that Soviet scientist Leonid Kulik led the first major investigation. He expected to find a massive crater. Instead, he found something stranger. Trees at the center of the blast were still standing. Scorched, stripped of branches, but upright. Surrounding them, millions of trees lay flattened outward in every direction, as if something had detonated midair. The leading scientific explanation today is an airburst. A small asteroid or comet fragment, perhaps 50 to 60 meters wide, entered Earth's atmosphere at tremendous speed. The pressure and heat caused it to explode before reaching the ground. No impact crater, just atmospheric detonation. And this explanation fits many of the observations, but not all. Eyewitness accounts describe strange atmospheric effects for days afterward. Night skies across Europe glowed bright enough to read newspapers at midnight. Unusual luminous clouds appeared. Magnetic disturbances were recorded. Some scientists have proposed exotic alternatives over the years. A fragment of a comet composed mostly of ice. An antimatter event. A natural gas explosion. Even a small black hole passing through Earth. Most of these theories have been dismissed. Yet one fact remains deeply unsettling. If the Tunguska object had exploded over London, Paris, or New York, history would have changed overnight. Entire cities could have been leveled. The event exposed something profound. Earth is not isolated from cosmic violence, and we are far more vulnerable than we like to believe. In 2013, when a much smaller meteor exploded over Chelyabinsk, Russia, injuring over 1,000 people from shattered glass, scientists were reminded again of Tunguska's scale. But despite modern modeling and simulations, we still do not know exactly what object caused the Tunguska explosion. No large fragments have ever been conclusively identified. No definitive composition confirmed. The largest explosion in recorded human history caused by a space object left no body behind. And that is what continues to baffle scientists. Because when something that powerful leaves almost no trace, it forces us to confront how little we truly control. Phenomenon 2. The year without a summer. In 1816, summer never came. Snow fell in June across New England. Frost destroyed crops in July. Rivers froze in August. Across Europe and North America, skies turned gray for weeks at a time. Temperatures plummeted. Harvests failed. Food prices soared. People called it the year without a summer. But no one at the time understood why. Farmers believed it was divine punishment. Some blamed sunspots. Others feared the end of the world. The phenomenon triggered famine in parts of Europe. In Switzerland, people slaughtered livestock early because there was no feed. In New England, families abandoned farms and migrated west in search of stable weather. And yet, this was not random. A year earlier, in April 1815, Mount Tambora in Indonesia erupted. It was the most powerful volcanic eruption in recorded history. Tambora ejected an estimated 150 cubic kilometers of ash and debris into the atmosphere. The explosion was heard over 1,200 miles away. But here's the crucial detail. The eruption injected massive quantities of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. There, the particles formed an aerosol veil around the planet. That veil reflected sunlight. Global temperatures dropped by approximately 0.4 to 0.7 degrees Celsius. That may not sound like much, but globally, it was catastrophic. Weather patterns destabilized. Monsoons shifted. Crops failed simultaneously across continents. And yet, despite the clear link to Tambora, scientists still debate aspects of the event. Why were some regions hit far harder than others? Why did the cooling intensify in 1816 rather than immediately after the eruption? How did atmospheric circulation amplify the effect? Modern climate modeling can simulate much of the cooling, but the complexity of 19th-century climate systems makes precise reconstruction difficult. And then there are the strange secondary effects. During that cold, gloomy summer in Switzerland, a group of writers were trapped indoors by relentless rain. Among them were Mary Shelley and Lord Byron. Out of that dark season came a novel, Frankenstein, a story born from climate catastrophe. The Year Without a Summer reshaped migration patterns in the United States. It accelerated settlement into the Midwest. It destabilized food systems in Europe, and it revealed something unsettling. A single volcanic eruption on one side of the world can plunge the entire planet into chaos. Today, scientists study Tambora not as ancient history, but as a warning. If a similar eruption occurred now, in a world of 8 billion people, globalized agriculture, and fragile supply chains, the consequences could be far more severe. And here's what still unsettles climatologists. We do not fully understand how Earth's atmosphere will respond to future supereruptions in a warming world. The Year Without a Summer was explained in part, but not entirely, because Earth's climate system is vast, interconnected, and capable of amplifying events in ways we still struggle to predict. Phenomenon 3. The WOW signal 24:00, 36:00. On August 15, 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio detected something extraordinary. The signal lasted 72 seconds, came from deep space. It was narrowband, meaning it occupied a very specific frequency, not the broad static typical of natural cosmic noise. And its intensity was 30 times stronger than background radiation. Astronomer Jerry Emin was reviewing printed computer data days later when he saw the unusual sequence. Next to the signal's code, he circled it in red ink and wrote one word: "Wow." The WOW signal appeared to originate near the constellation Sagittarius, the direction of the center of our galaxy. It matched the frequency of hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe. Some scientists have suggested that hydrogen frequencies would be a logical channel for interstellar communication, because any advanced civilization would know that hydrogen is universal. But here's the mystery: the signal never repeated, despite decades of searching. The Big Ear radio telescope that detected it could not reorient quickly, so it recorded the signal once as Earth's rotation moved it through the telescope's field of view. Then it was gone. No second pass. No confirmation. No follow-up transmission. Scientists have proposed several explanations. A passing comet releasing hydrogen clouds. A satellite reflection. an unknown astrophysical phenomenon. But none of these explanations fully account for the signal's characteristics. In 2017, researchers suggested that comets 266P/Christensen and P/2008Y2 Gibbs might have been near the signal's coordinates at the time. However, subsequent observations failed to recreate similar signals from those comets. The WOW signal remains unique, and uniqueness is what makes scientists uneasy, because science thrives on repeatability. An event that happens once and never again cannot be easily tested. SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, continues scanning the skies. And in nearly half a century, no confirmed signal of similar strength and structure has been detected. So what was it? A natural cosmic anomaly we don't yet understand? A rare astrophysical flare? Or a fleeting transmission from an advanced civilization, caught only because we happen to be listening? Most scientists remain cautious. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And one 72-second signal is not enough. But the WOW signal exposed something profound. The universe is noisy, complex, and capable of producing phenomena we do not yet recognize. Whether it was alien communication or natural mystery, it reminds us that space is not silent, and we are still beginners in learning how to listen. Phenomenon 4. The Roanoke Colony Disappearance. In 1587, more than 100 English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island off the coast of what is now North Carolina. They were not explorers. They were families. Men, women, and children. Their mission was simple: establish the first permanent English colony in the New World. Their governor, John White, soon returned to England for supplies. He expected to be gone only a few months. But war broke out between England and Spain. Ships were commandeered for battle. White was delayed for nearly 3 years. When he finally returned to Roanoke in 1590, the colony was gone. No bodies, no signs of violence, no evidence of battle, just an abandoned settlement. Buildings dismantled carefully, not burned or destroyed, and carved into a wooden post, a single word: Croton. Croton was the name of a nearby island, and also a local Native American tribe. White believed the settlers may have relocated there, but a storm prevented immediate search, and that search never truly happened. Over centuries, theories multiplied: massacre, starvation, disease, assimilation into Native American tribes. Archaeological evidence suggests some colonists may have integrated with local tribes. Artifacts of English origin have been found inland. Genetic studies hint at possible European ancestry in certain Native American populations of the region, but no definitive proof ties those findings conclusively to Roanoke. And here is what continues to baffle historians. The disappearance was orderly. The settlement was dismantled intentionally. There were no distress markings. White had instructed colonists to carve a Maltese cross if they left under duress. No cross was found, which suggests they chose to leave. For what? Food shortages? Hostile relations? Environmental collapse? Drought studies indicate that the late 1580s may have been one of the most severe drought periods in 800 years in that region. That alone could have destabilized the colony. Yet no mass graves have ever been discovered. No confirmed settlement site containing all colonists has been found. The Roanoke colony became known as the Lost Colony. But perhaps it was not lost. Perhaps it transformed, absorbed into another culture, surviving in a way history did not record. What unsettles scientists and historians is not just the disappearance. It is the silence. A community of over 100 people does not simply vanish without trace. And yet, for more than 4 centuries, the fate of Roanoke remains unresolved. Phenomenon 5. The Taos Hum. In the quiet desert town of Taos, New Mexico, some residents hear a sound. A low-frequency hum. Persistent. Vibrating. Difficult to describe. Those who hear it compare it to a diesel engine idling in the distance. But there are no engines. No factories. No obvious source. The phenomenon gained national attention in the early 1990s when dozens of residents reported the same strange experience. Not everyone hears it. In fact, only a small percentage of the population seems affected, which makes it even stranger, because when investigators bring sensitive audio equipment into the area, they often detect nothing unusual, no measurable acoustic signal. Yet the people who hear it insist it is real. Some report headaches, insomnia, anxiety, a sense of pressure in the ears. The US government conducted investigations. The University of New Mexico studied the reports. Acoustic engineers scanned the region for industrial noise, military activity, or geological vibrations. Nothing conclusive was found. And Taos is not alone. Similar hums have been reported in Bristol, England, Windsor, Canada, Auckland, New Zealand. Always low frequency, always faint, always affecting only certain individuals. Some scientists suggest infrasound, sound waves below the threshold of human hearing, may be responsible. Natural sources such as ocean waves, atmospheric disturbances, or distant industrial activity can produce low-frequency vibrations. Others propose physiological explanations. Tinnitus, a ringing or buzzing in the ears, could account for some cases. But tinnitus is typically higher-pitched, and many Taos residents insist the hum feels external, not internal. A few have speculated about electromagnetic fields, or underground geological activity, or even secret industrial projects. But no verified evidence supports those claims. Here is what makes the Taos hum uniquely unsettling. It is happening now. Not centuries ago. Not in myth. But in modern America, in an era of advanced sensors, satellite monitoring, and global acoustic tracking. And yet, there is no universally accepted explanation. Science has narrowed possibilities, but it has not eliminated uncertainty, which leaves us with an uncomfortable truth. Even in the 21st century, there are phenomena occurring around us that we do not fully understand. The Taos hum may eventually be explained through improved acoustic modeling or neurological research. But for now, it remains a reminder that mystery is not confined to ancient history. It exists in the present. From a Siberian explosion with no crater, to a year when summer vanished. From a signal in deep space, to a colony that disappeared, to a sound no instrument can reliably capture. Each of these phenomena shares something in common. They were witnessed, recorded, studied, and yet they resist complete explanation. Science is not weakened by mystery. It is motivated by it, because every unanswered question is an invitation to look deeper. History is not just a record of what we know. It is a map of what we still don't understand. And somewhere, in forests, in archives, in the sky, or beneath our feet, the next baffling phenomenon may already be unfolding. History is not finished. It is not sealed. It is not fully explained. If tonight's mysteries surprised you, if even one of them challenged what you thought was settled science, then you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Because the most powerful discoveries don't happen when we feel certain. They happen when we feel unsettled. In our next episode, we'll explore something even more controversial. Ancient technologies that appear centuries ahead of their time. Weapons that burned on water. Machines that predicted the cosmos. Structures built without modern tools. Some were rediscovered. Some were lost. And some may still be misunderstood. If you're fascinated by the edge where history meets the unknown, make sure you stay with us. Because the past still has secrets. And we're just getting started. Some mysteries are solved with time. Others deepen. The Tunguska sky burned for seconds and left a century of questions. The summer of 1816 passed, but its chill echoes in climate research today. A 72-second signal still hums in astronomical archives. A colony vanished, and history went quiet. And in the desert night, some still hear a sound no machine can capture. Mystery is not a failure of science. It is the frontier of it. And as long as the world continues to surprise us, there will always be phenomena that defy explanation. Because history is not just what happened. It is what we are still trying to understand.